ever-changing political landscape of the European Union. The European Union has gone through a great deal of political change over the years. From its beginnings in the 1950s as a means of increasing economic cooperation among European nations to the creation of its own institutions, the EU has seen significant transformations in the political landscape. This video will explore the historical context of the EU, the role of the EU institutions, and the political systems and parties of the EU member states, as well as the challenges and opportunities for the EU. Finally, this video will provide a conclusion on the ever-changing political landscape of the European Union. A brief overview of the EU. The European Union is an economic and political union made up of 27 member states. Its roots date back to 1951 with the European Coal and Steel Community, which established a common market for these two vital resources. Since then, the EU has grown in size, scope, and power. Today, it is an influential global actor with its own currency, its own legal framework, and a powerful network of institutions. The member states of the EU are Austria, Belgium, Bulgaria, Croatia, Cyprus, Czech Republic, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Hungary, Ireland, Italy, Latvia, Lithuania, Luxembourg, Malta, Netherlands, Poland, Portugal, Romania, Slovakia, Slovenia, Spain, and Sweden. Each of these countries is politically unique and governed by its own laws and regulations. Importance of understanding politics in EU member states. It is important to understand the politics of the EU member states in order to fully appreciate the workings of the EU. Each state has its own particular political system and parties which shape how the country engages with the other members of the EU. A comprehensive understanding of the political dynamics of the EU allows for more effective collaboration between all the member states. Furthermore, knowledge of the political systems of each state can inform decisions about how best to utilize the EU's resources and ensure that the policies of the EU are effective for all its citizens. The role of the EU institutions. The European Union is a complex political system made up of a number of different institutions and agencies. These institutions are responsible for making sure that laws and regulations across the member states are harmonized and implemented correctly. The main institutions of the EU include the European Council, the Council of the European Union, the European Parliament, the European Commission, and the Court of Justice of the European Union. Decision-making in the EU is complex and often involves several different stages of consultation and voting. Decisions in the European Council, which is made up of representatives from each of the EU member states, are made by majority vote. The Council of the European Union, which is composed of ministers from each member state, also adopts legislation by majority vote. The European Parliament, which is made up of elected representatives from each member state, votes on legislation proposed by the European Commission. The European Union has had a profound impact on the politics of its member states. The process of harmonizing laws and regulations across Europe has resulted in increased cooperation between states and often requires changes to national laws and policies. The EU has also played an important role in fostering peace and stability in Europe, especially through its role in conflict resolution and mediation. Finally, the EU has encouraged the integration of economies and markets across Europe, leading to increased trade and investment opportunities for member states. Political systems of the EU member states. The political systems of the EU member states have been shaped over the years by their history, culture, and geography. In total, the EU comprises 27 countries with a variety of political systems, ranging from parliamentary democracies to semi-presidential systems. Overview of the political systems of EU member states. Most of the EU's member states are based on a parliamentary system of government, where the executive branch is appointed by and accountable to the legislature. This form of government has its roots in the British parliamentary system, which has been adopted by many countries around the world. The European Union also includes countries that have adopted a presidential system, such as France, Poland, and Lithuania. This type of government gives more power to the executive branch and a directly elected president, while still retaining some accountability to the legislature. Other countries, such as Greece and Italy, are semi-presidential systems, which combine elements of both parliamentary and presidential systems. Key features and characteristics of political systems in the EU. The key features and characteristics that define the political systems of EU member states include the degree to which executive power is divided between the legislature and president, the type of voting system used, and whether or not there is a two-party system. In parliamentary systems, legislative power is typically divided between a cabinet and parliament. Members of Parliament are usually elected through proportional representation voting systems. Presidential systems are typically dominated by two main parties, although there can be regional or other parties represented. In semi-presidential systems, executive power is typically divided between the president and the prime minister. The president is usually elected through direct popular vote, while the prime minister is usually appointed by parliament. Differences and similarities between political systems of member states. The political systems of EU member states share many common features, but also vary significantly in terms of their structure and functioning. For example, some countries may have a multi-party system while others have just two major parties. Similarly, while some countries use proportional representation voting systems, others use first-past-the-post or alternative vote systems. The type of government in place also varies across member states. While some are parliamentary democracies, others are semi-presidential or presidential systems. Overall, the political systems of EU member states reflect their unique histories, cultures, and geographical locations. While they share many similarities, these systems also contain many differences that shape the way they function and interact with one another. Political parties of the EU member states. The political landscape of the European Union is made up of a variety of different political parties, each representing their own distinct views and interests. While there are some commonalities between the parties in each EU member state, there are also many differences. In most EU member states, there are two major parties that dominate the political scene. These include center-right and center-left parties. In some countries, such as France, Germany, and Italy, there are also regional and local parties that may have their own particular ideology or support base. One of the major similarities between the political parties of EU member states is that they are all strongly influenced by the traditional ideologies of either the center-right or center-left. Generally speaking, the center-right parties tend to favor free markets, low taxes, and limited government intervention, while the center-left parties tend to favor greater government intervention in the economy, higher taxes on the wealthy, and social welfare programs. Despite these similarities, there are also many differences between the political parties of the EU member states. For example, while the center-right and center-left parties may have similar ideological roots, they may take a different stance on issues such as immigration, foreign policy, and the environment. Additionally, some countries may have smaller parties with distinct ideologies that challenge the status quo. Overall, the political parties of EU member states provide voters with a wide range of choices when it comes to selecting representatives in government. Despite their differences, all of the major political parties share a commitment to democracy and the further integration of Europe. Challenges and opportunities for the EU. The European Union faces a number of challenges that can affect its future success. These include managing economic, political, and social integration in a diverse continent with very different cultures, economies, and political systems. The challenge of managing migration and asylum policies is particularly pressing as the EU has become a target for many asylum seekers due to its relatively liberal policies. Additionally, the EU must manage external relations with neighboring states while negotiating trade deals and resolving disputes with the United States and other powers. At the same time, the European Union presents significant opportunities for growth and prosperity. Its strong economy and vibrant democratic culture make it an attractive destination for businesses, citizens, and visitors from all over the world. By working together, EU member states can cooperate to tackle some of the most pressing issues facing the continent, such as climate change and sustainable development. The European Union also provides a platform for innovative new policies, such as digital regulation and the creation of a single digital market. The European Union is a unique political entity with many different voices and opinions. As it seeks to create a unified European vision, it must navigate the complexities of its internal politics and the ever-changing global landscape. By finding ways to address these challenges and take advantage of the many opportunities available, the EU can continue to be a powerful force in international affairs and an example of successful cooperation in an increasingly